Hey, SHMACKEMAGOB, look who we have here today. Philip from Accept and Rock and Roll Residency, right?
That's right.
And Ace Frehley's band
Yep.
and the Gene Simmons band.
Yes.
I want to get into all of that because a lot of people on my channel love to hear about Kiss. But before that, were you rehearsing today for the tour?
Yeah, we've been rehearsing pretty hard here in Nashville, and got a few more days next week. We start Thursday.
Right. Oh, so where's the tour taking you this time?
We start in Nashville, and it's all North American dates. We've got one Canadian date. We go, I think, from Nashville, go through Texas to the West Coast, up the north into the Northeast, and down through the Midwest.
Right on.
Now, we follow actually this exact route that I just did with my hand. That's the exact path of the tour.
Unfortunately, no South Florida dates, but I understand because
No, I know. The only Southeast that we have is Nashville. I couldn't believe that.
yeah,
But yeah.
I'd go to Orlando for you guys, man. I mean, I have my shirt. The last time I saw him was all the way down in 2011. That's how.
Oh, that's a part of the you have the Blood of the Nation shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, Blood of Nations was the last time I saw him, and I was happy that they came and they packed the house. That's why I'm kind of like wondering what happened, But promoters, and
Yeah, I know. That's the deal. If a promoter doesn't get a show, it doesn't happen. So
so so
but
so how does it feel to be an Accept? Such a classic German band.
yeah, it's great. It's a trip. It's really cool. I love playing the songs are the show's great to play. The songs are challenging. You're playing all these, you know, songs that defined modern heavy metal with the guy that wrote them. That's always a really cool experience that I'm very, very fortunate to have in a lot of gigs.
You can even say proto thrash with Fast as a Shark.
It's that's like the most that song's an anomaly because metal was here as far as heaviness goes, and then all of a sudden Fast as a Shark comes out and the album kicks off with it, which is a great idea, and it just like jumped up like notches of speed and intensity and just pure heaviness. It's like, where did that come from? It's so much heavier than anything else that was going on at that time.
No, it was. I mean, I remember the first time I hearing it with the little Heidi hi ho in the beginning, and this record scratching, and then
Yeah.
scream, and then just double bass madness.
Yeah, it's really killer.
So how did you end up in Accept?
Wolf has lived here since the early 90s, here being Nashville, Tennessee, or the Nashville area. Um, and he had done a couple solo side projects. It was classical based. He'd take classical pieces like Mozart, Vivaldi, Tchaikovsky, and all these things, and arrange them for a metal band, four-piece metal band, and orchestra.
Mm.
And so I started doing those things with him, and kind of as a side thing from Accept. And then in 2019, I did a full tour with an orchestra. We did 6 weeks in Europe, and I was still filling in, kind of, wasn't like, going to be a member. But at the end of that 6 weeks, I think it was when the tour was over, Wolf asked if I wanted to join the band as a member.
How
And I
mind
said,
blowing was it?
yeah. Yeah, I said, I was hoping you were going to ask me to dance. I
Yeah.
really had a good time. I fit in, off stage too. The most important thing is getting along off stage, really. So the stage show was great. Off stage was a great hang. I really liked them as people and the crew. It's a really good, well run organization. And I was towards the end of it, I was getting kind of sad. I'm like, because the crew's European, and I'm like, I'm never going to see these folks again. And so I was really happy when I got asked to join. And yeah, I'm tickled to death to be here.
Nice. So all members are Accept are not in Nashville, right?
4 out of 6 are. Mark Tornillo, the singer's in Jersey, and Uwe Lulis, the guitarist, is in Germany.
So did they all fly in for this rehearsal?
Yeah, yeah. Mark's coming in this weekend, and so is Uwe. So yeah, we got some days next week before the tour kicks off.
Awesome, awesome. All right. So the Kiss questions are coming now. And also, you know, we're going to talk about Kiss, like, you know, how you discovered them and so on. But first, I'd like to know, how did you end up, all you guys, did Gene see rock and roll residency, or how did that happen?
No, had nothing to do with anything. It had to do with Ryan Cook. And that is all it had to do with. Ryan was on one of the Kiss, I forget which Kiss cruise it was, but Gene wanted to have lunch with Ryan. And that lunch was to ask Ryan to put together a band that could do a handful of solo shows with Gene the following year, only like 5 shows. And Ryan said, yeah, I got the guys right now. And so that's how we got in. Gene didn't, at the time, he didn't care what we looked like. He didn't care who we were. He didn't know us at all. He knew Ryan and trusted Ryan to put together a band for him.
I have a feeling, did you guys have anything to do with some of those songs included on the set list?
Oh, yeah.
Because I know for sure Ace, that I know for sure. But like,
yeah, that
stuff like Charisma and
the first show that we did with Gene was a corporate gig. It wasn't really in front of Kiss fans. It was in Vancouver, Canada, for like a executive kind of convention, a lot of guest speakers, and Gene was the keynote speaker there. So we did that gig, and we did a lot of R&B covers, along with the Kiss hits. The next one we did was was Cleveland, and that was a Kiss fan show, and that's when Gene asked, you know, let's ditch the R&B covers. What are some cool Kiss tunes that we could do? And we all knew that this is going to be like Kiss cruise crowd people. I'm like, all right, here we go. And we threw in, Charisma was one of the first ones, got Love for Sale was one of the first ones, Radioactive, See You Tonight. I forget what else we ended up putting in there, but as we went along, we started changing them out and suggesting different songs. And Gene really, 95% of what we suggested, he was cool with.
Really?
He was pretty brave. He was like, yeah, he's like, make sure I got the lyrics and we'll do it.
Do you remember any song where he said, oh no, I don't want to do that?
For some reason, Love 'Em, Leave 'Em. Because we were dying for that one. Larger Than Life, we were dying for. And I think he thought that was too slow or something. And well, no, it's going to be mega heavy with 3 guitars. And he wouldn't go for that one. A lot of the 80s stuff that he didn't want to do. But mainly we were trying to get him to go for the old Kiss 70s stuff.
70s stuff. So then you all went on tour. Well, it ended up being more than 5 shows, right?
It took 2 years.
Wow.
2 years of international work. Yeah, so it was quite a bit more.
It was quite, and you guys are tight, man. I mean, unfortunately, I never got to see the Gene band, but I did see you guys twice, pre-Kiss show in Miami, and with Alice Cooper in West Palm Beach. And I mean,
great.
Yeah, you guys are so tight, you know?
Oh, thank you. That stuff's in our DNA, man. That Ryan, Jeremy, and I are friends because of Kiss. Like, I've known Jeremy for 20 years, Ryan for 10. The reason that we're friends is Kiss. So this just made perfect sense. You know, that's in our DNA.
So the Gene Simmons band was coming toward the end, and you all went on tour with Ace, right? I think you played Australia, right? Or
with Gene and Ace, and we played for both of them. We backed both of them.
And then you were off to Japan. Wait, you were playing with Ace in Australia as well?
Yeah, because that was the Gene and Ace tour. And at this point, we weren't Ace's band. We just played with him for logistics only. Right. And so it was just easier, you know, fly one band there. Ace we knew the material and could play and sing well. And so that was it. And then we were going to do those 4 shows and then go on to Japan for 8 shows in 4 days with Ace only. And then after that, it was, you guys want to do the cruise? Sure. And then we became his band.
And man, I got to tell you, I mean, it's mind blowing that you guys talked him into doing Darklight on the cruise.
That was kind of handed down, really. The cruise set list, we were still new to him, so we weren't like, you know, throwing ideas at him. So we pretty much got a master list of cruise tunes, and he knew what kind of crowd was on the cruises. So that's how Save Your Love, Dark Light, Two Sides of the Coin got in there, and all those other deep cuts were we were just kind of handed. We're like, all right, cool, good. They'll want to hear all these.
Yeah, and something that I think all Kiss fans would love to hear, and that you guys did do once, was the full 78 solo album in Jersey, I think.
We did. It was for an expo, and man, we wanted to do that again. We really wanted to take that on tour and do it because it's only 35, 40 minutes long. So you can do the whole record, and you've already got Rip It Out and New York Groove and Snowblind in there, which are in the set already. Plus, you throw his other hits in there, you've got a great show and use that as a centerpiece. We were really gunning for that, man.
Is there any talk of any new Ace Frehley music? Do you know?
Man, I don't know. Zach Throne's the guy now. I'm not doing those gigs anymore. I was just way too busy with Accept. It was just I could come back. It's like, well, I can do these 2 shows here and these 2 shows here, but Accept is slammed, this month, and then we're slammed next year. I've got pretty much all throughout the summer already booked. So
European
pretty
dates,
busy with Accept. Was that?
Going to be European dates?
European in January and February, and then South America in April, and then back to Europe for festivals in the summertime. So
nice. All right.
Yeah.
So where did your Kiss fandom start? I mean, what was it that got you into Kiss?
My friend Brad McWhorter, in high school, I think I was a junior, he was a freshman, and he was a really big Kiss fan. And this is in 91. So it really wasn't the greatest time to be a Kiss fan. They weren't like, this is, in between Hot in the Shade and Revenge, and wasn't really happening yet. But I never really knew much about him. He was a massive fan. He had the pinball machine then.
Wow.
So big fan. I told him, I said, make me a mixtape. Remember those?
Yeah.
An analog playlist, I guess, of some good stuff, some of my favorite stuff. And it kicked off with Deuce, and I was hooked. I just got it. It just made sense. Everything clicked. I was a new guitar student then, and Ace's solos totally made sense to me with my scales and things I was learning. So it was just one of those things that was good timing, and I just got it immediately.
Right on. And did you gravitate more toward the 70s Kiss? Was that tape predominantly 70s Kiss on there?
It was. There was some, I think it had Fits Like a Glove, Under the Gun, some stuff like that on there, but it was a lot of Alive. And I thought just Parasite was I couldn't believe how good that was. And watching you, it was like, God, I can't believe this is so good. I just had no idea. I never was turned on to that at all. So I just knew, of course you knew about Kiss. I just didn't really have any opinion on them yet.
Yeah, because I'm sure you were aware of Heaven's on Fire and Lick It Up and stuff like that, which is
it was more because in the 80s, 85, 86, 87, I was into the Beatles, and that's all I cared about when I was like 11, 12 years old. I couldn't have given a shit about Motley Crue or Whitesnake or Bon Jovi or any of that stuff. I was literally in a Beatles cave. So a lot of the 80s stuff that was going on at the time, it kind of went past me.
Yeah.
I just kind of, was in my Beatles. I was the only 11-year-old kid in Norfolk, Nebraska that was, had a Hard Day's Night memorized.
Well, yeah, I'm a huge mega Beatles fan. I'm very looking forward to the Revolver box set. You know about this coming out?
So I'm not getting the Creatures box set, so I can buy probably 2 versions of the Revolver box set.
Right on. Yeah, I'm a massive Beatles fan as well, and
can't wait for that.
Yeah, what just to get off the Kiss for a second, what would you say? I mean, to me, I love all Beatles, from Please Please Me all the way to Let It Be, but there's something about that middle era, right prior to with Help, starting with Help, because a lot of people say Rubber Soul is when they started to change, but I think Help had a lot of,
I'd go even before that, man. This is going to be a long podcast if I go into Beatles theories, but yeah, you're right. My favorite period is that '66 period, like Paperback Writer, like Rain, like when they had the videos walking at the planet, the botanical garden place. Like they just ruled the world at that point, and they looked like they did, and they carried themselves like they did at that point, and I just love that. And if I had to pick I don't know which record I'd pick. It changes daily, but Revolver is just something that's just like it was. Rubber Soul was it. Rubber Soul, when you listen to it, like all the parts individually, especially the bass lines, you're realizing it's an R&B record. That is a soul album. Rubber Soul, it's a soul record. Revolver was something completely out there. It was uniquely Beatles, like everything that they did was. But there's something just about that time, right before psychedelia, when it was just like they rocked pretty hard. And yeah, I don't know. About like you, man, I love all the eras, and I'm just fascinated by them.
It is kind of, I mean, as you said, Revolver is very different than Rubber Soul, but at the same time, it's such a natural progression to that album, don't you think?
Oh, it totally is. It's such an interesting progression all the way through. And it's like when you listen to the from beginning to end, between the Abbey Road, and you think about it, 7 years.
Unbelievable. That's I don't get such a body of work in such a small period of time.
And they broke up before any of them were 30.
Wow. See,
Ringo was 29. He was the oldest, when they split. So it's just absolutely amazing.
Crazy. Yeah. I gotta have you back on for just Beatles.
Oh, dude, anytime, man. So let's do it. Let's go nuts on it, and I love it.
To Michael, because I would love to have a Beatles conversation with you. But everybody,
hell yeah, man.
You see, on Wednesdays, I put aside, I call it Kiss Wednesday, and it's my most popular day. I get thousands and thousands of views of anything.
Awesome.
I just put up, like somebody asked me to put up my top 10 Ace Frehley guitar solos, got thousands of views,
Yeah.
If I put up a Beatles, it won't even get half as much, but I kind of like started the channel as a Kiss channel, but
sure.
So let's get back to Kiss.
Awesome. Let's do it.
If you would have to pick a favorite album that's not Kiss Alive, what would it be?
Oh man, I just got on Team Love Gun like this summer. I was listening to Love Gun for some reason on tour a lot, and I was listening, on the earbuds with my phone. And the remaster, the deluxe they put out, I think 14, I think it was. They had a couple of the extra songs on it.
Yeah.
That mix is really, really good, especially with headphones on or earbuds in. And it's just everything separated. And I love how it's recorded. It sounds very 70s. It's a really good 70s album. And I just like the songwriting's good. I really enjoy the mix of it. I don't know. It's just something about, I think it's got some of Peter's best drumming on it. Plastercaster, I think, is one of his best drum tracks. Yeah, I was Team Rock and Roll Over for years, and I think I'm on Team Love Gun for the moment.
All right, I'm still on Team Rock and Roll Over, but I do love Gun to the point where I even love Then She Kissed Me. Not a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a bit of a thing. I like the other songs so much, though, that one gets a pass.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There's a lot of people that don't like that song. But fine to me is everything, because that's when I got into Kiss. And,
yeah.
Love
that's a lot of it too. When you got into it, whatever your first image or first experience or something was, that's going to be strong your whole life.
Where yours is unique. Yours was a mix.
It was late. It was like, I was in high school, on to high school, but I got it and I immediately became obsessed. And 3 years later was the reunion.
Oh wow!
My first show was I saw the Revenge Tour was my first Kiss show.
Well, how was the attendance on that? Do you remember?
I can't remember. I saw him in Huntsville, Alabama, at the Von Braun Civic Center, and I can't remember. I think it was pretty good. Okay. I don't remember. I mean, it was such long ago, and my memory is complete garbage now. But I don't remember sitting there going, wow, nobody's here. You know, I
Right.
think it was okay. I think they always did okay in Huntsville.
Yeah, because that's a tour that did okay in some markets and not that good. And
Right.
but all right, so the Beatles were your influence, but do you think, like you said, you started to play guitar when you got that Kiss mix, though?
I've been playing about 2 years or 3 years, so I was still getting the hang of it, and not really lead guitar hadn't really clicked for me yet. And so Ace made that click. Like that was my light bulb moment. Like that's what I'm learning in lessons, There's the pentatonic scales and everything for guitar players that know what that is. And that it clicked, and that was it. And plus I could play them by ear, and I could play the songs by ear. That's a big deal when you're a young, just started an instrument and you can play something you hear on a record. That's an incredible confidence booster. And it makes you just want to do it all the time. And that was the moment that I really stopped being frustrated because I couldn't play like Eddie Van Halen, and then was like, oh, I can make this sound pretty much like it. So that was a big deal.
Yeah, if you think about it, Ace Frehley probably influenced as much as Eddie. You know,
Oh, well, I'd say probably, I don't know, I'd say probably equal, if not more, just because also the look and the rocket shooting the flame, just the show and everything was such a big deal. They were so influential. I'd say Kiss, behind the Beatles, is the most influential rock band, I think.
no, I would agree with you. That's why I thought it was so ridiculous. It took them forever to get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because isn't that supposed to be a place where people that get inducted are influential?
Oh yeah, it's Jan Winter's club. It's Jan Winter's, his fun hip club, and they weren't invited.
And he hates
So
that.
I hates him. That's why Paul McCartney got inducted so late, because Jan Winter was Lennon's bitch the whole time.
Really?
He was such a big, oh yeah, he was such a big John Lennon guy, and he did all this stuff for John, all the exclusive Rolling Stone interviews from when the Beatles broke up. Always, all of John's things were in Rolling Stone, and Jan Winter was just his bitch, and that's why it took Paul so long to get in for solo, because you can't deny that guy forever. I mean, it's fucking McCartney,
maybe,
so.
Maybe that had something to do with him not showing up at the Beatles induction.
It might. That was his lawsuit with George.
Oh, okay.
That was a thing. George and Ringo were still suing Paul because Paul had negotiated himself a better royalty rate than those guys did.
Oh, okay.
For back catalog. So yeah, that was a big lawsuit thing. But Jan Winter might have put that in. That might have weighed on his opinion too.
Wow. So what did you think of the late, like after the glory days of Kiss going into the 80s? What did you think of that era, those albums there?
It's hit and miss for me. I like some songs off the records. That isn't my favorite era. I rarely listen to those albums, like just listening to them. Unless I'm doing like a podcast where you have to talk about them or something. They're not my favorite. Not my favorite era. I just love the makeup stuff and the music that came out of that era. I like a lot better too. It wasn't just the difference in the appearance in the show. I like the music better from the 70s era.
Have you like I asked you earlier about Gene? Have you thrown Ace any suggestions on Kiss songs or his early songs where he was like,
We did. It's a chain of command. We got to go through we got to go through a few people to get to Ace. But it's a bit different. He's more set in the set list. He's more set, no pun intended. But he's a bit more, creature of habit than Gene was. Gene was very brave, very off the cuff, like, yeah, we'll do whatever. Ace is not that way. So we did get a few. We got the Black Diamond ending at the end of Cold Gin, which I thought was fantastic. That was
I loved it.
one of my favorite parts of the show was that.
You guys have anything about She? How about She?
She was in there too, because we'd been playing it and then we cut it on the record.
Yeah, Origin.
And so that was an easy one to throw in too, because we all sang that one, and we already obviously knew it already. So that was a good one. I'm trying to think what else, everything else we got in there. We were always going for like Speeding Back to My Baby. We loved doing that one. We tried different, like Got to Choose, tried to throw, we threw a lot, since it wasn't just songs that he sang, because we were, just Deuce and things like that. We're like, well, we can suggest kind of any tune,
There's a bit, and I know, I'm sure you're aware of this, the difference between hardcore and casual fans, because casual fans are what fill seats. Hardcores are there, but it's mostly people. So the hardcores have a really big problem with Detroit Rock City and Love Gun and all these songs that Ace doesn't sing, and they want to hear, stuff like Speeding Back to My Baby and
or some Comet stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Ace Alice tour had no Common songs.
Yeah, we didn't even do Rock Soldiers or anything. Yeah,
which was odd, but I mean, that was a great show though. Ace was great. That
was a fun tour.
And Ace came out there and Schools Out. That was really cool to see Ace and Alice together. I don't know if that was a regular thing on that tour, but they did it.
Yeah. I forget how many shows it went. We did the first few. It didn't happen, but then after once he walked out, it was a thing, and it kept happening. So yeah,
I think it was West Palm Beach the first time it happened.
Oh, cool. That was a really great show, because I'll tell you why, because there's a pool backstage.
Oh, is there?
And there's also a bar, and there was a great looking bartender there making margaritas for us all day long. So that was a really, really great show in West Palm Beach. I love that venue.
Oh yeah, that venue is awesome. I was just there not too long ago. All right. So you got the Ace thing and the Gene thing. So pretty much that's kind of like, wow, I can't. Has there any been times you're on stage going, I can't believe I'm playing with these guys?
Oh, every time. It always is. There was a moment with Gene. It was when, because playing the songs were great, but it was a really special thing when I would sing a Paul part and he's harmonizing. And that was always like a wow, hearing his bass sound come out of the bass amp and hearing that voice come out of your monitor. It's like, wow, that's really that guy standing right there, and the same thing with Ace. Deuce is one of the first guitar solos I learned. So I'd always back up to my amp and just focus on Ace every night when he'd play that Deuce solo. And that was one of the things he played where it was 1975. I mean, it played it flawless every night, ripped it. That's a really special moment for the Ace show was Deuce.
Yeah, and I think Gene is very underrated as a bass player because he does some really wicked bass runs. Like if you listen to Ladies Room, what he does on Ladies Room and those.
Oh, it's great. He's so underrated, and he underrates himself too, because we would always talk about music with Gene. Obviously, we were with Gene all the time on the road. We traveled as a 5-piece. We traveled together, hung all the time with him. We talked about music a lot, and every time that we would bring up a cool chord progression that we would like in a Kiss song, like, oh yeah, that thing, the chord progression Ladies Room that does that move there, and he'd go, Bad Company did it first. He would never take the credit. He would always pass on to, like, oh, we love that riff. Well, I got that from Jeff Beck, or I got that from Todd Rundgren, or whatever. He would never take any credit, and he would always put, he never would put Kiss in the category of those bands.
Right.
Like it was Zeppelin, that he never would do that. It was surprising to see, but he was very, very, very humble and very with his musicianship. Very, oh no, I didn't think about that. I got that from so and so.
Which makes you think his persona may be a little, he wouldn't want people to know he's that, Oh,
I think by this point, me and the guys have pretty much blown his cover. It's like, all we talk about is what a sweetheart he is, and like how great he was to hang out with, and he really was. He was absolutely amazing. He treated us fantastic. So much fun to hang out with. Yeah, we had just a great experience. Really great all around.
That is quite amazing. Yeah. And so the Ace thing, I figured, was the same thing, right?
It was fun. We were with Ace less because he travels separate.
Okay.
We didn't see Ace until we were on stage with him.
Oh, really?
Yes, but with Gene, we had breakfast together, rode to the venue together, had catering together, hung out in the dressing room together. Even if, and there was always 2 dressing rooms. Because Gene always had, meet and greets and stuff he would do. He would always either knock on our door, and if he had the bigger one, he'd make us go in his. Or if we had the bigger one, he'd sit down in ours and go, "What are you guys doing over here? Come hang out."
So Philip, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. And
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Any talk of new Accept material, or that's way off?
Oh, no. There's Wolf's always writing tunes. We're always kind of writing tunes, and yeah, probably. I don't know when. I don't know. No dates are set, but yeah, man, absolutely. That band is full steam ahead.
Nice. Wait, where did they record? Well, do you know where they record? Did they record here in the U.S.?
Here in Nashville, yeah. We cut it at Wolf's studio during the pandemic with Andy Sneap producing on pretty much a Zoom call.
Really?
But we were lucky enough to get together in person and do our parts together, so it was very good.
Oh man, that's awesome, man. And will you be on the road during Rockin' Pod? Because I'm always there.
When is it?
Rockin' Pod is going to be next year, I think in August of next year.
Probably in Europe. Yes.
Okay, because I did see you guys play with Rock and Roll Residency, not only there but here in Miami. And wow, man, you guys are just so tight.
Thanks. That was a great band, man.
And it's, I can tell by watching you guys play that you guys must be like hang out a lot, right?
Yeah. It's the same thing with like me and Jerry Ryan, Judd and Jared. They're buds, and that was a tight as hell band. Really good band.
So, hey, man, Philip, I would definitely, like I said, I would like to have you on again, just talking Beatles.
Let's continue. Let's do it. I'm serious. Anytime.
I will talk to Michael about it, and I'll let you do your tour and stuff. But when you get back and you have a little off time, I would love to have you back on the channel, man.
It is on. You name it.
Philip, you have a great night, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Have a good night.